Good morning. So, Tony, today we're talking about something that sounds simple, but a lot of people overlook. The topic is not how much you make, but how much you get to keep. A lot of people assume that if someone makes $150,000 a year, they must automatically be doing some better than someone who's doing $85,000 a year, but that's not always true. So let's start there. How can someone making $85,000 a year actually be in a better financial position than someone making $150,000 a year?
Yeah, so basically it all comes down to not what you make, but what you actually get to keep at the end of the month or at the end of the year. So let's say someone making $150,000 a year is automatically going to think that making more money is going to help with their finances, but it doesn't necessarily mean that making more is going to change your spending habit. So if you make $150,000 a year and you spend $149,000 a year, are you really in a better financial position than someone making $85,000 a year and spend, $65,000 to $70,000 a year? That person that makes less is in a way better financial position than someone making double what they would make. So,
all right. That's a really important distinction, I think. So when people say that person makes a lot of money, we don't actually know if they're financially stable or not.
Yeah. So even if you make $150,000 a year, it doesn't mean that all the money coming is going to stay. So they might, have a debt to pay for. They may have a more expensive monthly fixed expenses they have to pay for, which is, like the higher mortgage payment, higher car payment, higher like vacation that they pay for. And then someone making $85,000 a year have a better control of their spending. They know how much money are actually coming out of their checking account every month. Having $150,000 a year, like I said, and spend 149 doesn't equate to building long-term wealth compared to someone making 85 and spend 60 and have so much more at the end of the year to save and invest compared to someone making way more than them.
Good to know. So let's walk through an example because I think that makes it easier to understand. Person A makes $85,000 a year. Person B makes $150,000 a year. So most people would automatically assume that person B is doing better. But how would person A actually be farther ahead?
So let's say the person A make $85,000 a year. You can probably see most of the expenses are fixed. So you have mortgage payment, car payment, minimal debt repayment just because they don't put anything on their credit card. They don't go out to eat as much. They control their spending. They drive a paid off car or a very small car payment. They don't, spend lavishly on a vacation that they can afford. And at the end of the month, they may just spend, at $85,000 a year, they may bring home $5,000 to $6,000 a year, depends on where you live in Canada. So let's say, for example, this person bring home $5,000 a year, a month. That's usually a normal scenario for someone in Alberta, especially Edmonton. Their expenses may stay at $4,000 a month, everything that I just listed. And at the end of the month, they have $1,000 to either save and invest. And then on the other hand, person B make $150,000 a year. They increase their lifestyle expenses where they upgrade to a bigger home. They have a very expensive car that's $80,000 for that car, or even worse, they have two cars. They drive one in the winter and have a summer car that that they take on another mortgage. Another car payment, another insurance payment. They eat out more often. Usually at a more expensive restaurant. They go on a much more expensive vacation, stay at a 5-star hotel, buying business class, things like that can really add up to their monthly expenses. And for someone making $150,000 a year, they usually take home from $800 to $8,500 a month. So with all that being said, someone from Edmonton maybe bring home like $8,000 a month in this scenario, and their expenses are $7,500 to $7,800, and they only have $200 to $400 at the end of the month to save and invest. That person is in the worst financial standing compared to someone that makes 85,000 and have an extra $1,000 a month to invest.
Right. That makes more sense. It's the gap between what comes in versus what actually goes out.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not about how much you make, but about how much you actually get to keep. So that gap that someone make 85,000 and have an extra $1,000 a month to invest compared to someone that have, almost double what you would bring home every month, but only invest, significantly less. In the long run, that person that makes less a year will be have much more at retirement compared to someone making more.
Excellent. And let's talk about lifestyle inflation. What exactly is that?
So lifestyle inflation means, if you start making more, you don't really have a plan with that money that you make more a month. So you get a raise, and then you should use that part of the raise to, allocate that to, debt payment to lower your debt, increase more. So they increase their spending more. So they would go out to eat more. They take on a much more expensive car payment. They, upgrade their house. So since they're making more, most of the time they plan on moving out of their starter home to go into a much bigger home, which, like in Alberta, like a $800,000 home would make you pay a mortgage from $3,000 to $4,000 a month. That half of your income already go toward, mortgage payment. And then if you get like another $80,000 car just because you think you make more, that's another $1,000 in a month in car payment. That's $5,000 gone already. And you eat out more, you take on a more expensive vacation. At the end of the month, you may not have much, or even worse, you put it on the credit card just because you don't have enough money to pay for the lifestyle that you took on.
Right. So it's like a more expensive version of the same stress that everyone has.
Yeah. So making more, but your spending habit increase with it, it doesn't really take away the stress that you had before with the finances that you have when you were making $100,000, let's say.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And also a lot of people, I think, compare themselves to others. They see like, oh, that person has a nice house. They have a nice car. They're going on much more expensive vacations. They eat at better restaurants. They assume that the person is doing so much better than they are. But that's not necessarily the full picture, is it?
No, it's not. And we see it time and time again with our clients where people may look very successful. They have a nice watch on their wrist. They drive a very fancy car. They live in a big house. And it makes sense because they have a really good job. But at the end of the day, it's not about how much you make and how much you can show off of the money that you make, but how much you actually get to keep. That person may not, have a really good financial standing, as you would think, just because everything that they make go to paying for the lifestyle that they took on. And sometimes life happen. You can get your job taken away from you, an emergency happen. And we've seen that time and time again where they don't have a job for a few months and they cannot keep up with that lifestyle. And that can really affect your financial and it's really stressful where at the end of the month, you don't feel like you're moving forward just because all your money going to trying to afford your lifestyle compared to someone making $85,000 a year, but have a much more controlled spending habit.
Right.
And they have, emergency fund, they have investment on the side, they have liquid asset that they can just, sell or whatever the case may be to afford an emergency that would happen in their life. And they are much more free when it comes to their finances.
Okay. How come so many high earners feel so broke?
There are a few common reasons. Number one is they don't really track their spending. They often usually say, oh, I don't spend that much, but they don't really know how much they really spend until they look at the numbers. So they don't know how much they eat. If you ask someone like that, how much you get out a month, how much you spend on subscription, how much you spend on your car payment, how much you spend on this and that, most cases they don't know. And the second reason is fixed payment. They, before the money even come in or before they spend on their lifestyle, the money has already departed from their account, where that would be, their bi-weekly mortgage payment or monthly mortgage payment. That's, $3,000 to $4,000 from their monthly expenses already gone. And now they have a car payment that's $1,000. That's another $1,000 gone from their checking account. And that high payment doesn't give you a lot of flexibility to, control your spending. And then the third, and we see this really often, is the I deserve it, spending amount. So if you make $150,000 a year, chances are you work really hard for that money. You work, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week. And then at the end of the week, you usually say, oh, I deserve to go out to this very expensive steakhouse. I deserve to buy this very expensive shopping spree, things like that. Oh, I deserve this. I worked hard for this. I should spend. And we're not here to tell you not to spend your money, but control the spending. The fourth reason is debt. Debt payment can be high, and income feels small when the debt payment is really high. And with the out of control spending, that debt payment can get really out of control as well.
All right, so let's spend a little bit more time talking about debt. How can debt make someone who's making $150,000 feel like they actually have no money? So
we're talking about bad debt here. So we have credit card debt, and car payment debt, and line of credit debts to afford their vacation or whatever the case may be.
Right.
That portion can take away your flexibility to save for a rainy day or invest, just because you can get out of it. You're already committed to a decision that take away your flexibility in the future, where that $1,000 car payment doesn't give you flexibility to save and invest, and that vacation that you took 6 months ago that you put on a credit card or a line of credit, now you have to pay it back. And when it gets out of control, that interest payment on those bad debt can really compound and make you feel like you're drowning in debt, even though you're making more money.
Okay. So someone making $85,000 with little debt may actually have more breathing room than someone making $150,000 with a lot of debt.
Yeah. The paycheck that you bring home every month doesn't really give you a full financial picture of someone behind the doors. Someone making less, having a smaller mortgage payment, a smaller car payment, even better, they drive a 10-year-old paid off car that's, $30 in gas every week. That could really give you the financial flexibility to make, other debt obligation. You don't have a car payment, so you can put that difference into paying off your student loan debt or line of credit debt that you took out when you were not making as much money as you are now. So that financial freedom from a smaller paycheck can really compound when you know what you're doing with your money every month.
Excellent. And so when someone says it's how much you get to keep, what does keep actually mean in that scenario?
Saving and investing is part of that keeping. So someone making more and spending all of it is not keeping or building wealth compared to someone making less, and they are having an additional $500 a month, $1,000 a month to go toward, building emergency fund, lowering their debt, invest for their retirement, and that could mean like putting money aside for a car repair emergency that could happen where you can work for a month, can work for a couple months, or you get laid off. That having that peace of mind can really take the stress out of your financial picture, where someone making more and don't have that flexibility feel more stress than someone making less, because they spend all the money on their lifestyle and don't have anything at the end of the month. And in the back of their head, they always think, oh, what if my expensive car break down and there's going to be a $5,000 repair? They won't have that emergency fund to pay for that, and they take on more debt on the credit card or line of credit to pay for that emergency expense that they didn't plan for.
Okay. Can you give another simple monthly example, something that the viewers at home can compare to their own situation?
Yeah. So let's say that same person, $80,000 a year earner, and their housing is $1,700, mortgage, whatever the case may be. Transportation is $500, and that's just gas and insurance, car insurance. Groceries maybe $500 to $700. Phone, internet, and utilities maybe $350. Personal insurance maybe $200. Maybe that's term, life, whatever the case may be. Restaurant and entertainment $400 a month, so $100 a week. Eating out, for yourself and your partner, maybe once a week, that's $100 a week. That's pretty reasonable. Shopping and miscellaneous spending, maybe $300 a month. That total about $3,850. That leaves you $1,150 at the end of the month to, $500 into saving. That would be for a vacation that you rightfully deserve. $400 to $500 into your investment. That would be your TFSA or FHSA if you don't have a home yet. And, maybe $100, $200 into your emergency fund. That person is much better financial position compared to, let's say, a person B makes $150,000 a year, $8,000 a month, but their housing is $3,000 to $3,500 on your mortgage. Mm-hmm. That's pretty reasonable for someone that have a home from $600,000 to $800,000 home. And then the vehicle is $1,000 to $1,500 just because you have a nice car payment at $1,000, and then because it's a nicer car, your insurance is a little bit higher. And then your grocery and restaurants, you eat out more often. So $1,500 a month. We've seen it happen where, they eat out at expensive restaurant, like a steakhouse at $400 or $500 for a night. And you do that a couple nights a month. That could really add up on top of your groceries. And then travel, shopping, and entertainment, maybe $1,000 to $1,200. Phone, internet, utilities at $500. Insurance at $400. Debt repayment maybe at $1,000 at line of credit, student loan, whatever the case may be. And now they're already at, $7,500 to, $7,800, and they have $200 to $400 at end of the month compared to someone that's person B that have $1,000 to $1,200 a month at the end of the month that they would be short. Sometimes if they have an emergency that come up, then an extra $500 expense that they didn't, plan for, that could really put them on a worse position when now they have to put on that credit card that they trying to pay off, that line of credit trying to pay off because they are short at the end of the month. So person B is at a much worse position than person A when it comes to money.
That makes sense. I really like that. But I want to touch on something that you kind of talked about a little bit earlier in the podcast. Something about an emergency fund. Mm-hmm. Why is an emergency fund so important to the conversation?
Because it's often between a small convenience and major financial crisis in your life, just because now you don't know where you're going to come up with this money to pay for, life happens, your car may break down, a water tank in your home may break down. You may get laid off on your job, with this economy going on, you don't know if your job is stable. You may be laid off the next day. You get sick, hours get reduced, unexpected expense do come up, and without saving, like your surprise expense can become a debt just because you don't have that 6 month emergency fund, or 3 months in this case, set aside to pay for that. And then person A making 85,000, much less than person B, but then they have that 6 month emergency fund set aside, so that inconvenience doesn't really take a toll on their financial, and then give them that additional stress just because they can pay for that expense right away without taking on additional debt. So yeah, that emergency fund is very, very important in your financial planning for your personal finances and household.
Great. Good to know. Also, I want to touch on something that you've said a couple of times earlier as well. I deserve it. The phrase, I deserve it. A lot of people work hard, so they feel like they deserve some nicer things. But how do you kind of balance the mentality of I deserve it with being a little bit more financially responsible?
And you absolutely should enjoy your money. The goal is not to stop or feel guilty about spending just because you do work hard for your money, and we're not all about, extremely frugal where you eat ground beef and potato every day, try to save money. Like, do enjoy life, but money is meant to support your life, but there has to be a balance. You cannot say, I deserve this dinner, I deserve this trip, I deserve this trip to Louis Vuitton, I deserve this car, I deserve this shopping spree, and, go out to eat and drink all the time can really put a heavy burden on your, monthly financial plan. One purchase is not going to be a problem, but the pattern really make a big dent in your financial situation where you should have a plan for your financial situation where you set aside a realistic expectation for your restaurant, shopping, and trip. So having that plan really take out the guilt from you making that purchase, making that spend on every month, is because it is within your budget, and you don't have to think twice about spending that just because it's within your budget, and you don't make irresponsible financial spending every month. That way you still enjoy life without, saying I deserve this every other day.
Every other day, right?
Yeah.
So let's say someone is watching this at home and they're like, I feel like I have absolutely no money. Where should they start?
They should start by looking at their bank statements and the credit card statement for the last, at minimum 90 days, so the last 3 months. If you want to take it a step further, I would take a look at the last 6 months, just because it gives you a little bit better understanding of your situation where within the last 6 months, there may have already been an emergency that you can pay for and you have to put on your credit card. So you really should take a look at your bank statements. Don't guess it. You want to look at, how much you actually pay for housing. So how much your mortgage really is, the insurance on a mortgage, the transportation, groceries, restaurant, shopping, subscription, debt repayment, saving, entertainment, and everything else in between. You really have to take a hard look at that and think, hey, instead of spending $800,000 on eating out, I should really only spend $300 or half of that every month. Maybe instead of spending $1,500 on shopping, and things like miscellaneous subscription, you should really take a deep look into, did I use that Amazon Prime subscription to watch movies last month? Did I go to this bar and spend $50 on this one drink? Things like that you should really take a look at and see if it's within your budget. And within the last 6 months, did something come up with my car? Is my car due for a big repair within the next 6 months? You should really plan and not guess how much you spend, but actually take a deep look into your finances and see are what I'm spending on really within my budget and how much I really make a month.
Perfect. Once they've looked at their numbers, what do they do next?
So pick 2 or 3 things to improve on. Don't try to improve everything and cut out everything that you've been spending on for the last 3 and 6 months. It could be very discouraging to someone to make that hard, cut on their spending. We look at it like a small steps, one step at a time, just be 1% better every day toward your financial freedom goal. So start with the easiest win. So, if you cut out eating less, maybe like 2 times this month, and it cut out $200 on your spending, that could, give you motivation to, eat out even less or spend even less, just because now you have additional $200, $300 to go toward your saving and investing. And that investing give you, dividend back every month. And that could really improve on the way that you look at your spending and investing.
Nice. What about when someone gets a raise? What should they do differently to help ensure that lifestyle inflation doesn't kind of creep in and take over their raise?
So that raise should really have a plan. Don't, be in that trap again, the I deserve trap, and spend all of it on your lifestyle. Really have a plan where, let's say you have an additional $500 to $1,000 a month raise. You should really look at, divide it. So if it's $1,000 raise, you should put half of it into saving and investing, and have $150 into your debt repayment. That would be student loan, credit card debt that you had before, and then only maybe $100 to $200 into your lifestyle. So if you want to eat out additional time a month, go ahead and do that. If you want to put additional $100 or $200 into your trip aside, then go ahead and do that. I guess again, we don't want you to don't live your life and spend the hard-earned money that you make. But have a purpose with that raise. Instead of spending it all, have a plan into your future as well.
Excellent. If people shouldn't measure only income, what should they look at in addition to that?
So they should look at cash flow. So do you have any money left at the end of the month to save and invest? Are you, putting money aside to make that debt repayment? And then you want to track your net worth every month. Are you becoming financially stronger every month? So is your debt going down? Is your net worth going up? Things like that, you should really take a hard look at every month. And then that really gives you a warning sign whether or not you're moving into the right direction to your financial freedom of your retirement. Are you going to have enough money at retirement? We do have a tracking net worth sheet at Always Bookkeeping where for a certain period of your life, you should have this amount of liquid net worth. So if you are one of our clients, we do look at that with you every month to see if you are moving toward that goal that we have. If you are, then, take that trip that you always wanted to go on, go to Europe, go to Japan, or if you want to take on that a little bit nicer car that, maybe additional $200 in car payment, go ahead and do that. Enjoy your money if you are at or above that threshold for your age at the net worth level that you should have. So things like that, you want to look at every month.
Perfect. So what advice would you give person A making $85,000 a year?
So do not underestimate how much you can make do with that level of income. Don't compare yourself to someone that's making more. You don't usually or always know what they would have for their expenses. So make do with what you have. Build a strong plan. If you already have that plan, continue on that path to create that financial freedom that may give you 5 or 10 years earlier to retire. If you manage it well, keep that financial plan that you have, or improve it just a little bit, just because you're already on a stronger path compared to someone making more. And someone making more that think that you're so broke at the end of the month, even though you're making more. Take a hard, deep look at your monthly finances. Like I said, housing costs, car payment, get rid of that car payment, trying to pay off that bad debt that you have, which is a credit card debt that's 20% annually, that line of credit debt that's 10%, that car payment that's $1,000. Look at your restaurant expenses, shopping expenses, cut back as much as you can. And a high income is a great tool to, if you are intentional with your high income, then you can create that strong financial freedom even faster. So you don't want to take on that bad debt every month.
Right, right. And so for the people watching at home, what's the one takeaway that you want viewers to take from this?
So I want you to create a financial plan for your household. So make a big line at the top to, your income. If you're single, just one line, your monthly take-home income. If you have a partner, then both of you combine. Know exactly how much your household costs. So mortgage, insurance, all your expenses that I have mentioned. And at the end of the month, be intentional with that extra money they have at the end of the month. That $1,000, $500 at the end of the month can really make a difference on whether you would be retiring at 45, 55, or 75.
Wow.
So be intentional with your money, be responsible with your money, and know exactly what comes in and what comes out every month. That could really help you build a strong financial plan for you and your partner.
Wonderful. That's such an important reminder. It's easy to compare income, homes, cars, lifestyles, but the real measure is what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's easy to look rich, but not rich behind the scene. You know, someone making more money would not be in a better position than someone making, 45, even less than $85,000, but they are intentional with the money. So don't try to keep up with the Joneses, buy that expensive car, live in an expensive house. At the end of the day, how much do you actually keep to build your, financial freedom, your version of financial freedom is much more important than looking rich and successful.
Excellent. I love the phrase, comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. So don't compare yourself to what's happening. Just concentrate on what's going on in your
Exactly. I'd rather drive a beat up Honda and have $1 million in my portfolio rather than driving a Mercedes Benz that's $150,000 that's depreciating every day and have, $100,000 in my retirement fund. So,
yeah, that's a good reminder. All right. So if you found this video helpful, share it with people who are looking to feel a little bit more financial freedom. Maybe send it to your spouse and to have a conversation about maybe doing some budgeting at home tonight.
Yeah. And if you need help with budgeting and, be intentional with the saving that you have at the end of the month, just reach out to us at Always Bookkeeping. We want to work with you, help you move forward to your financial freedom, which is $1.3 million in Canada. So yeah, reach out to us. Give us a call at 780-554-8356 to book your free initial consult with either myself or my business partner, Denise, and we'd be more than happy to help you.
Excellent. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you.